Hey there, introverts and deep thinkers. Welcome to Introverts Unmuted, the podcast where we prove that quiet doesn't mean invisible and deep thoughts deserve a mic. If you've ever felt drained by small talk, mastered the art of sneaking out of the room, or wished the world understood the magic of solitude, this is your space. We dive into everything from navigating social energy to embracing creativity, confidence, and the unique power of being an introvert. So get comfy, plug in, let's turn up the volume on our quiet confidence. I'm Amber Hansel, and this is Introverts Unmuted. Today, I'm talking with Samantha. She is a counselor in Australia. She provides therapy for introverts, empaths, gentle souls. Welcome.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you so much for having me today.
You're welcome. I'm so glad that you could come on and talk because I feel like therapy is so important in our space, especially as, introverts and empaths, and just we need to have this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's actually kind of like fitting that I'm on your podcast today because I am an introvert. And it's so easy for me to hide myself and to just kind of like, hide behind the scenes and just do my thing. But I've been challenging myself lately to get out of my box a little bit more and to make myself a little bit more visible in what I'm doing and to be on more things like the podcast and all of that. So when you asked me to be on your podcast, I was like so excited, but also nervous as well, because it's like, okay, now I have to actually do what I talk about. So
I know, and I think it's so easy for us as, other people were like, yeah, you just go do that. And then we don't always take the action ourselves and we sit back and go, yeah, they can do it. It's okay. But it's so important for us. And I'm so glad that you're here to step out into that space and chat about you and what you do. And you have Paper Crane of Hope. And so I would love for you to just chat about where that came from and what it is about.
Yeah, okay. So Paper Crane of Hope is, well, firstly, it's my counselling services. So I provide therapy for introverts, the Myers-Briggs personality type INFJs, empaths, gentle souls, and neurodivergent people. But before it was a therapy service, it started off with me leaving paper cranes in the community with little messages of hope and healing to spread kindness and a positive mental health message. So I started that in 2016, so 9 years ago now. And I was on maternity leave with my baby, and I was somebody that always worked in community services and mental health and, doing the things. And when I was at home with my baby, I was just feeling a little bit like, what am I doing? Who am I now? Going through that new identity shift. And I had this intuitive nudge about learning how to fold the paper crane. It just came to me like out of nowhere. I started having dreams about paper cranes. I started seeing it on the TV, in movies, in posters. Wherever I went, I started seeing this symbol of the paper crane. And I looked up what it meant, and it meant hope and healing. So I thought, okay, I'll follow this intuition that I'm getting about folding the paper crane. I learned to fold the paper crane. And then I thought, why don't I leave it at my local cafe where I always walk with my baby to go get coffee in the morning? And I did that, and I left a little positive message on the wing and took a photo, put it on Instagram. It was anonymous back then because I was so afraid of showing my face and showing who I was and being such an introvert in that way. And then from there, it just kind of took off, and I started leaving paper cranes every day. And I had people reaching out to me who found my paper crane saying how much they needed that paper crane in that day, that they needed the message that I wrote. And as that evolved, I actually noticed that a lot of the people that were fighting my paper cranes were introverts and empaths and gentle souls, which I just find so fascinating because I feel like, yeah, like we would be the people that notice these little things. And then from there, while I was on maternity leave, I started studying to become a therapist. And then it just evolved into a therapy service.
I love that you started with just this intuitive nudge and sitting in maternity leave. I definitely have felt that too.
Yeah.
With my second one, this is how, I became into the online space as a virtual assistant while I was on that leave with my second one over 7 years ago. And so it feels just like this nudge. And when we're able to take action, and I love that you realize that, introverts and empaths were finding it because we sit in that quiet and we notice and we're observers. And so that I feel like is so powerful that it has all come together to, the big circle just from, realizing, oh, hey, paper cranes or something. And then you took action, even as an introvert, to just do something subtle. And I was filming some videos and really talking about, those small actions really lead up to such big, powerful moments. And I think this is such a testament to that, of just doing a small action like learning how to do a paper crane, leaving a message, leaving it somewhere, and then you realizing that, you're going to be a counselor and continuing on with that.
Yeah. Yes, that's what I tell people all of the time, that it was that small moment of listening to that little intuitive nudge, that little small voice. And if it wasn't for me taking the courage to listen to that tiny little prompt, then I probably wouldn't have taken the courage to follow through in studying to become a counselor, because that was something I wanted to do since I was like 18. So I actually went to uni to study to become a youth worker. And while I was in that course, I found out that, well, this course wouldn't qualify me to be a counselor. And I was like so bummed, because that's what I wanted to do, but I didn't. And I just moved into youth and community services and never had the courage to go back to study to do what I really wanted. But I feel like starting from that paper crane is what like snowballed into where I am now.
Yeah, and I think that's such a powerful moment, is really to lean into ourselves and say, yeah, I can do this. And the intuitive nudge, and to really listen to ourselves in how we can take these actions.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just love providing therapy for introverts. And it was because of Paper Crane of Hope that I realized I could make my therapy niche really bizarre in a way. Like, not many therapists would niche themselves for like a personality type. It's more about the issues that you're going through, whether it's grief and loss or anxiety, depression, whatever that is. And I deal with all of that. I deal with anxiety, depression, grief and loss, childhood trauma, but for like specifically for the introverts, because I feel like so often as introverts, we feel misunderstood. We feel like people don't really get us. We try and share what's going on, but it just falls on flat ears. And so I just love providing a space where an introvert or neurodivergent person, INFJ, empath, knows that they feel safe here and that they are actually going to be heard and understood and understand the nuance behind the words.
Yeah. And I think it's so powerful as introverts, because we many times don't know what to say, or we feel like we are very misunderstood in what we're trying to say because we communicate differently. And so having someone like you that understands and is in there with us really can benefit us with therapy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I went on my own journey as well when it came to learning about who I was and the way I was wired. So most of my childhood and early 20s, I actually thought I was an extrovert. I thought I am a people person, and I'm always putting myself out there, and I love socializing. But I got to a place when I think it was about 24, 25. I got incredibly burnt out and I had no energy left. And I remember I just crashed and burned, and I probably slept for a year. Not literally, but it felt like it. And then I went on this exploration. I started reading some books, such as, I don't know if you've heard of The Introverts Advantage in the Extroverts World.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Quiet by Susan Cain, and a few other books. And I started realizing, like, oh my gosh, I'm actually an introvert. Just because I could talk to people doesn't mean I'm an extrovert, and I need alone time to recharge my batteries. And then when I discovered I was an introvert, it was like a huge weight lifted off my shoulders, and everything else in my life started to make sense. And then I went down the pathway of Myers-Briggs personality typing, discovered I was an INFJ, so there's 16 personality types, and the INFJ is the rarest of them all. And when I read the profile on that, I was like, holy crap, like that is so me. It makes so much sense. And yeah, now I'm here helping other
Yeah.
people discover themselves. So yeah.
And I think it's so important that we do discover ourselves and start to really accept that, hey, this is who I am, and that there are so many strengths. And I talk to this a lot, is that being an introvert is such a big strength. We have so many talents that we underutilize.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and it's just about really accepting them and learning more about how you can use them.
Yeah, and adapting your life around it. So before I was a mum, I worked in local government, and I loved that job. And we had, like, this is just an example of how, like, being an introvert and being in the workplace, but I loved that job, and I loved it when I had my own office space where I could, like, quietly work and do what I needed to do. But when I went on maternity leave, there was a lot of changes that happened in the workplace. And when I came back, they had moved our whole building, and suddenly I was in this big open room in, what are they called, like cubicles, and it was hell, and I could not concentrate. I could not process. I just felt so frazzled and had a massive sensory overload. So when I left that job and started working for myself, I really focused on creating a life around my needs. And so when I see therapy clients, like, I will only see so many people in a week. I know a lot of the counselors will see like over 20 people in a week, and I just cannot do that. Like, I need to make sure that I have space in my day to have self-care, to lie down and have a nap if I need to, and just to, like, create my own nice little introvert life that suits my needs. Not
Yeah, and I
everyone
think
yeah.
Yeah, and we have to recognize that we have to let it become part of our lives. It's who we are, and the more that we are able to organize our schedules as best as possible around it, and giving ourselves time throughout the day, like not just in the morning, not just at night. Maybe you need something in the middle of the day as well. And when I realized too that a morning routine is not enough for me. I also need a 3 o'clock, and I need a 9 o'clock, and I need numerous points in the day for me to disengage. And
Yes.
yeah, sometimes it doesn't happen and I notice, whether that's my mood or how I am. So things have to adjust. And
Mm,
also realizing, okay, yeah, I have this many calls and I have this all happening. What
yeah.
am I doing before to prepare? And what am I doing after to recuperate? And I think
Yeah.
it's so important to really pace ourselves and
Absolutely.
organize our schedules.
Yeah. Which I think, tell me if this has been your story, but when I was early on in my business, I just wanted to like go guns blazing, like all out. And I would just try and fit everything in as much as I can in my day, especially because I'm only working during school hours when my kids are at school. And yeah, I burnt out because I wasn't paying attention to my needs and I wasn't paying attention to me needing to sit down with a coffee for half an hour and have that space, and paying attention to needing self-care after a counseling session with somebody. But as soon as I started prioritizing myself in that way and my energy levels, I may have like spent less time on my business, but my business has done better for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely, when I first came into the online space, I had a newborn and a toddler. So I was in the trenches. I don't remember a lot because I was very sleep deprived. I was breastfeeding. My kid wouldn't
Oh,
eat, all of the things. And,
yeah.
I had a toddler and my husband worked away and I was doing it, but I
Mm.
don't remember it. And then
Oh, yeah.
after I came out of that
Yeah.
stage and slowly was coming, it was, not until really my youngest was probably almost 5
Yeah.
that I was coming out of it and being like, "Oh, me.
Yeah.
Who is this person?"
Yeah.
And, really going, "I am not okay, and I
Mm,
need this time. I
mhm,
can't, devote all this time to
mm,
them all the time." And so it was really just understanding, hey, I
mm.
need time, but also communicating to those around me, I'm
Yeah.
not okay and I need time. Mom
Yeah.
needs her time out. I'm going to be over there,
Yeah.
and really giving them also, like my kids, giving them a boundary too and
Mm.
letting them understand that.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you said that because you're sparking my memories of being in the trenches too. And I think it's really important for new moms to understand that that's a really, for introverts, that's a really hard time. Like my kids are 10 and 8 now, so I feel like I'm only just moving out of that like really intense period of motherhood. So like you, like I was
Mhm.
breastfeeding, toddler and baby. I mean, they're 2.5 years apart. I was blessed with the children that did not sleep, so I was
Mhm.
incredibly sleep
Yep.
deprived. Yeah, my husband works long hours, which
Mhm.
like bless him, it means I get to do what I'm doing now. So he's the main breadwinner in our household.
Mhm.
And yeah, you have no time for yourself, and it is hard to find time for yourself. And I think, I guess, if there's any new mothers listening to this, to give yourself grace and kindness and recognize that this is a hard time, but it does eventually get easier. And I feel like it's only been in the last couple of years that I've been able to really like pour back into me and back into my health as well, and look after myself and go to the gym and do all the things that I need to do to fill up my cup. And I love that you also said about the boundaries with your children. So I definitely know one of my kids is an introvert. The other one, I'm not sure yet, but because we talk a lot about needing alone time, she's so great at communicating when she needs her alone time and that she needs to recharge. And she likes to play quietly with her toys to recharge, and she'll express that with her sister and with myself, that I'm just going to remove myself now so I can just have some alone time. And I just think that's so beautiful. And yeah, our children watch us and they see what we do and that it's healthy and it's okay to want alone time. I think when they're in school, it's so set up for extroverts, even the workplace. Well, the whole world really is set up for extroverts. Yeah.
Yeah, both my boys, so they're 10
Yeah.
and 7, so very similar. And yeah, they're actually both, my whole family, my husband's an introvert. Both my kids are introvert. We love to be at home.
Yeah.
And so we also, now my oldest is like, I'm going to my room for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. And really just understanding, and I think it's understanding them. And I have found that being a parent is like the most humbling experience and the most self-development, because you will realize what you have to do in order to parent your children. And I think that's where the biggest lesson is going, how can I accept myself so that my kids can be functioning humans?
Yes. I love that. Yeah. It sounds like you're doing a great job as a mom.
Thank you. You as well. I know 10 and like 7, 8, they're interesting ages.
Yeah. I'm actually really loving the age right now. Yeah. I just feel like this past year has really been a time where I can refocus on my health. So I've had a few health issues, and now that they're at school, there's that bit more freedom now.
I know there's so much freedom when they're at school. I just feel like I can be productive. I can do what I want, and there's no one telling me what to do. And I think that's such a big part of it. I had previously homeschooled in years. So like I have done it all. But when we decided to re-enroll our kids to public school, that was actually such a great mental health for me, because I was trying to work on my business, I was trying to homeschool, I was trying to run a house, all the things, and it was beginning to be too much. And so when we decided to do that, and then as well, I got a part-time job outside of the home, and then my business just took a lower seat, which is just great, because it also led to the creation of this podcast and the other aspects of things that probably wouldn't have taken. So it's so interesting when we decide to say, hey, I'm going to do something new. I'm going to accept this in how I want to work and live, then things come into place.
Yeah, it's so true. Kind of like what we were talking about earlier when you listen to that small nudge. And I just have to say, I've got some friends that are homeschooling parents, and I admire people who choose to homeschool. I admire that you did that. I don't think I would have the capacity to do that myself. So, yeah, I love my kids, by the way, just to put that out there. I love spending time with them, but I love having some quiet in my day.
Yeah, it's a lot. I loved it, but I didn't all at the same time. And as they get older, it gets harder because the work is different, and trying to teach long division is like a whole nother aspect. I can barely figure it out when they bring it home. So, there's things like that I'm just like, I'm glad someone else is doing it. And I think socially for them too, we live in a very small community. So it was a lot of work for me to try to organize, social events and things like that. So now, everyone's a little bit happier. Sometimes we're really grumpy, but that's just how it goes. But yeah, and I think it all circles back to just leaning into that intuitive nudge in taking small steps.
Yes. Yeah. And leading into knowing who you are as well, and your strengths, and that it's okay that they've gone back to school, and that it's okay for you to have that spaciousness in your day. And that it's okay that you've taken on a part-time job as well.
Yeah. And I think once we just learn to accept these little things, then it's like, yeah, it's okay. And I can be better for myself.
Yeah, definitely. We're actually in Australia, so we're at the end of the school year. So my kids have about 2 weeks left. I know you said this won't be out till April, so we're in November right now. So we've got 2 weeks left, and then it's summer holidays. In Australia, we have about 6 weeks off for summer holidays before they start the new year. And I've already been talking to my kids about, okay, we're going to have to come up with a structure for the day so that we're all happy. So we have something to do each day. We're getting up at the same time. We're getting outside in the sunshine, and where we can also have our own things that we do to help recharge ourselves as well, so that we're all happy and getting along.
Yeah, absolutely. So back in October, I'm in Alberta, Canada, and the teachers went on strike for 3 weeks. So we did not have school for 3 weeks. We were still working. Things were chaotic. And then they went back to school, and they've been in school. And so we don't have summer holidays until July and August, because that is where our warm months are, because we are in winter. So, but we get different, but it's so important for us to still have structure, even when chaos ensues and you don't know your kids are off school, whether it's for a designated break or spontaneously, like a strike. Just having some sort of structure and plan in place.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like it might not necessarily be just an introvert thing, but I feel like it's an INFJ thing about needing that structure. I know that there's some spontaneous type of introverts, but I'm the type that needs structure. Do you feel like that's you as well?
Yeah, I prefer a little bit more structure. It can be a little bit loose, but I need to know like what's happening the majority of the time. And my youngest especially also needs to know exactly what's happening and the entire structure of it. So yeah, and I think it's important to that's goes back to just knowing yourself and going, hey, this is what I need.
Yeah, totally. I was going to say as well, this is going to sound so lame and boring, but in that structure, I do like schedule in spontaneous time. So I don't know how spontaneous that is, but I like to have space in my calendar where I can be spontaneous. And sometimes that might mean staying at home, but it also
what? I think as long as you're making time for something and it's open, then the ideas can flow to you. Even if it has to be in your calendar, it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think when you're a working mom, it's super important to have some sort of structure, and when you're running a business as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we definitely need some structure, and just to put in, because we don't know. They could wake up sick, and then we have to rearrange the schedule and figure it all out. And, it's always such a juggle sometimes as a working mom to figure out, and running a business. If you have a team and you have clients and you have all of this, it can feel very overwhelming, especially as an introvert, to take it all in. And that's why I think structure is so important for us, so that we can make decisions without the overwhelm.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we had on Tuesday a teacher strike day as well. So the kids, similar to you, were also unable to go to school, but it didn't go for 3 weeks. So thank goodness.
That's good. Yeah, exactly. So you never know when your day is going to get railroaded by something else. And so it's just, you gotta just go with it sometimes, and it'll be okay at the end. I always say, just have your priorities that need to get done that day, and whether it's just 3 things that you need to get done that day, that's what gets done.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I really enjoyed this conversation. And so how can others connect with you and learn more about Paper Crane of Hope?
Yeah, so I am all over the internet. You can see my paper cranes and like educational posts on Instagram, which is Paper Crane of Hope. And then I also have a YouTube channel where I talk more about introverts and INFJs and being an empath. And that's also Paper Crane of Hope. And then if you wanted to schedule a counseling appointment with me, I can see people worldwide, but I can't see people in the US or Canada, unfortunately, which is such a shame because I didn't tell you this, but I lived in Canada and I married a Canadian and I just love Canada. I lived in Vancouver many years ago now and we visit regularly. But anyway, I'm getting distracted. So you can go to my website, papercraneofhope.com, for more information about my counseling services.
Perfect. I will have all the links in the show notes, so make sure you go connect with her. And this was such a good conversation. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Amber.